So we're gonna quickly kind of review some stuff in layouts and viewports. Show you guys how to create a new viewport so that you could put multiple drawings in one layout if need be. So first, I just want everyone to draw a bunch of stuff inside. Doesn't matter. I don't care what it is. I just need something to look at in the viewport. So I got a nice work of art right here, right? Picasso. Beautiful. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Let's start number 1, right? Beautiful. It's fine. It'll still work.
Okay.
Yes, I am. I'm going to call this Picasso. Cool. All right. So once you have your piece of art going on, you can just leave it on layer 0. I don't care right now. We're going to go ahead and we're going to layout, right? The first thing I always want to do when I come into layout is I want to go through page setup. So you want to go to the layout tab, page setup, or you can type page setup, or I think one of these buttons does it too. So layout 1, I'm going to modify it. I'm going to select my printer. Which printer do I pick? I pick Adobe PDF. We're going to select monochrome. I'm going to change it to 11 by 17 just so you guys get in the habit of that, because that is what your drawings are going to be due as. Everything else, it's right there, it's fine. That's fine, don't worry about it. A couple of them are not like that. Yeah. Then we're going to go ahead and OK. So everything else looks good, right? And hit close. Then I'm going to stretch out this guy here. Kind of center it up a little bit. It's not really to scale right now, but so all of this to this point should be reviewed. So everyone should be able to do that pretty easily, yeah? So what I want to show you here is if I were to take this viewport, right? And let's just say I have one view of it that's at this scale, I have another view of it, the same drawing that I want at a different scale. There's a few different ways to create a new viewport. You can simply copy it. So if I type in CO, copy it. Now I have 2 Picassos, right? Then they do work independently. So if I double click in one and I zoom in, the other one stays at the same drawing scale, right? Cool? Is everyone able to copy a viewport? Not really. All right. So let's go ahead and let's get rid of that one, just because I want to show you the other way to do it. Up here, so you see here where it says layout viewports. It's the second column. There's one called rectangular. I could actually click on the bottom and I could get polygonal or object.
You're in page setup?
No, I'm just in the layout space on the layout tab. Yeah. So we're going to start with the first one. I'm just going to show you the different kind of ways. Rectangular is probably the most common one you're going to use. I'm not going to say you're never going to use the other ones, but I haven't. So, but yeah, there's a lot of, I'm sure there's fields that are going to use polygonal that are going to work a lot better for the drawing type that they have. But I usually do it a different way. But so if we go ahead and we rectangular, right? And a few different things up here in the top. I'm just going to leave them all regular. And I'm just going to simply click at one point and click at another point. And you can see that a new viewport was created. Again, this one acts differently. I could zoom around, do whatever I want in this one. And zoom around and do whatever I want in this one. And they don't actually speak to each other, per se. If I do come over here and I change everything to red or whatever, and I come back, they're both going to change to red because they're both referencing the model space. They're not referencing each other, but they are referencing the model space. Does that make sense? Cool. So, again, going to erase that second one. Going to come over to layout. Going to hit the little arrow. We're going to do a polygonal. Okay? So it's just simply this little arrow, and you pulls a little drop down polygonal, right? So it's exactly that. I could make any type of shape that I want, as long as it's in a closed shape. So again, you can see why would you need to create a funky kind of viewport that creates that shape. But like I said, I'm not going to say you're never going to use it. Okay? So the last one would be an object. So what I want to do is I want to create a rectangle first. So you can see this is not a viewport, it's a rectangle. Okay, I can create a circle. We'll do it for a circle as well. So if I click on the bottom and I click object, it's going to ask me to pick an object. So if I click that rectangle, guess what? It turns it into a viewport. It's no longer a rectangle, it's a viewport. So if I move it, it's going to move. So if I do object again and I select the circle, it turns it into a viewport. So that's a way to create. I know it's really fast, but it's kind of a simple tool. So I just want to show you that.
I'm sorry.
Yep.
Create setup.
I just modified everything to 11 by 17, put in monochrome.
Space setup, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I did all that.
Because
Yeah.
yeah.
So that's basically viewports in a nutshell. There are some other ones, so we can name them. So if I hit named, you'd have to have preset viewports, which we don't have. We don't need either. You could clip one. So if I clip and I want to clip this, I could clip this part out, and you can see that it's actually going to create a different viewport from that rectangular viewport. I don't know. It's not really that necessary, to be honest.
Why would you need one for like the object? Like the object.
Again, I use rectangle all the time. Rectangular, sorry. The first one. It's the most common one, because you could just, I mean, most of the drawings that you do, you know, you're going to have it. One of the other things that you may run into is this. A viewport on top of a viewport. So remember that this could happen. So if you double click into that viewport, you may not double click into the correct one. You may zoom in and zoom out and realize that it's zooming in on something else. Another thing that I've seen is somebody actually copies the viewport and pastes it right on top of each other. So now if I double click and I go whoa, why is there like a ghost, right? Well, there's two viewports actually stacked on top of each other. So you could simply erase it, delete it, and then you're back to the same viewport. So just be careful, because it will happen and you wonder what's going on. So yeah, that's viewports in a nutshell.
The uploading thing for the project didn't work?
It did, right? They said they were able to do it. Now, yeah. So so for some of those you practice, but it's always good. So for insert, it's in the home tab, right? Or simply I enter. Then in here, we're gonna hit browse. Go try to find my title block. There it is. In here, there's two different ways: specify on screen, or since I know what the margin is, right?
Oh, okay.
Okay. For now, I'm not gonna change any of this information, just because I need to save some time, not do it. So hit OK, and there it is. Title blocks inside, right? So here's where, you know, I noticed some with the viewports now, which is why I wanted to go viewports first. So if we go to layout, you notice I don't have a viewport actually in my drawing. I just have the title block, right? I don't have anything else. So here's where I would come in, type in rectangular, and there it is now. Yeah. So like I said, I always like to put my viewports actually on def points so that it's not a non-printing layer. So like I said before, the first thing we did, we went through page setup. So if I come in here, I can go ahead and I can check it again. in page setup, or when I actually go to plot, the same dialog box basically comes up, so I can check all my settings here again. So I want to make sure Adobe PDF, 11:17, layout, make sure it's 1:1, monochrome, landscape's correct. Some of this other information you may use, but we're not using it at this point. So
if you want to create your own custom paper size, because like if you require like much larger pages, where would you do that?
I'll show you right now. So let me just finish here. So basically, what I always like to do is I go through preview, so I can see that the drawing is getting printed. You can see that it's on this. That's just because I picked like a random color, and it's a color that monochrome doesn't actually recognize.
All right, cool.
So the exit. Oh, came back over here. Bring it back. So then if I simply hit OK, it's actually going to print out a drawing. You can see here. Ooh. No, you can't see because it's cut off. Yep. So mine's actually, so you can see the drawing here in digital format before I actually print it out, right? Were you guys all able to rotate the PDF if it came like this? Yeah. You could do, so there's two different ways. You could rotate the page itself, or you could rotate the view. So if you go through rotated view, you know, counterclockwise, then it's going to give you the correct scale. And then, so there's two different things. So in Reader, obviously in PDF Reader, Adobe PDF Reader, which is the freeware, you're not actually able to rotate the page itself. In Adobe Acrobat Pro, you can, because you could actually mark up, do all kinds of extra stuff that you can't, because you're actually paying for the software now.
Right click on the screen.
This one?
Doesn't it have rotate clockwise?
Right. So, but all I'm saying is, there's a difference between Reader and Pro, is what I'm saying. So this is Pro, so I'm able to do it, and you guys should all have Pro on there because they have the full Adobe suite. So, but I'm just saying you may run into the problem if you're at like a house computer may not have the ability to rotate it. You can rotate the view, but you can't necessarily rotate the full document. Does that make sense? So if you rotate the view and you close it and you open it up again later, it's not going to be rotated. If you rotate the document, right, then it'll stay that orientation. So, and then from here, we would simply go print, and the dialog box comes up. Then we're going to go ahead and pick our printer. This one, right? Yep. So there's different versions here. For the purpose of this class, selecting fit is not an issue. Just hit the fit, and what it's going to do is get rid of that problem where you guys are having the top line not show up. But neither here nor there. So basically, then I go ahead and I hit print, and voila. So that's kind of like the full steps. I know some of you guys were trying to print to Adobe PDF, and then not having that last step basically. So I was just trying to help you out with that. So
Now, like I told you on my home computer,
Mhm.
and installed this, I couldn't access Adobe PDF,
Mhm.
but there's another PDF writer on there.
PDF to DWG.
Yeah. Is that a good alternative, or
Yeah.
is there a difference?
It is. So or DWG to PDF, I say, yeah. So if you see here, the paper space actually changes, so your margins may change. So you may have to come down. Yeah, see, it's not even giving me the option. So if I preview it, yeah, you see how the margin's different now? Now I see the third line, which was supposed to be our paper line. You see? So you may have to adjust the title block to fit that one. But so basically what was happening was it was actually showing this exterior line up here, right? So I mean, it's something that you may have to just finagle a little bit, but it will still print you a PDF. I should just go ahead and do it. So if I'm okay, it's gonna come out. It's gonna ask me, so I'm just gonna say number 2. So you can see here, it still comes out to the same format that the other one did. But you can see I have that extra line up at the top. So, you know, that's it. That's the only difference. But so the margins are gonna be a little different. But pretty much, I mean, anybody who's using any type of, you know, printing software or something is probably gonna have Adobe PDF. But yeah, the PDF or DWG to PDF is an alternative that you could use, no problem. Not a big deal. So you're asking about custom paper sizes. So I don't know if it may not let me. So if I'm in the plot, or I'll just do it through Page Setup Manager, right? So if I go through Page Setup and I hit Modify, next to every single printer, you're gonna have Properties. Okay. So if I go through Properties, and then there's this little tab called Custom Paper Size. Yes, it's not gonna allow me to add. So I should be able to go through this one. Yeah. So if I add, then it's gonna ask me what I want to do. I usually like to start with an existing paper size just because it's already gonna pre-populate margins. So you can see here 11 by 17, sure, whatever. I mean, I can make it like 48 by 48, I guess, right? Let's just say that's not 458, 48, right? Then here's your margins here. So top, bottom, left, right. Pretty self-explanatory for the margins. I believe it's going to be in inches, so 0.7 inches, because I think that's what we set up at the beginning. And then here you can name that paper size because it'll always be in the property as long as you got that computer. So unless you're running off of a network or a server of some sort where they have pre-populated extra paper sizes, which you'd have to go through the options to add in for basically every single computer when it gets installed. These paper sizes won't show up on another computer. So then if I hit next, sure, yes, finish, hit OK. OK, and then it should be at the top, yeah. So now if I preview, you see it's really small. But custom paper sizes. You know exactly what happened. So what you did was you came in here and your current layer was whatever. Let's say it's 0, right?
Right.
And you had it locked. Well, it can't be frozen. You had it locked, and you also had it to not print, right? So when I go to new layer, guess what happens? It copies all of that information here. So so because you had 0,
Yeah.
which was the initial one that you were copying from,
Or
locked
yeah.
and off.
went to
Yeah, exactly. So, and that goes back to my point where, I'm just quick to that off, where remember that this is a block and it's actually on a layer.
Yeah.
So again, even though there's multiple layers inside of that block, this block is on a layer. So if I went and I locked 0, guess what? I'm not going to be able to move my title block, right? This viewport, it's on a layer. If that layer was locked, guess what? You're not going to be able to move that viewport, right?
So the viewport's on there too?
The viewport's on a layer too. Like I said, I always put mine on def points because it's a non-printable layer automatically. Defaulted does not print. But what it does is it doesn't print that border. So it doesn't print this border right here, right? So you can see here. So I'll just show you that right now. Jeez.
It doesn't print that border.
So right now, if I go ahead and I go to print and I hit preview, right? See how that line doesn't show up, right? So let's just go ahead and hit cancel, and I'm gonna change this layer to be 0. And now I print and I preview, and it shows up. You get what I'm saying? Because now it's on a printable layer. So I always like to put my viewports on def points just because the second you create a dimension, it creates a layer called def points. And the best explanation that I was given is it's those little dots at the end of the dimension. Those are non-changeable dots that they'll never show up. That's what I was explained. I don't know if it's really true. Doesn't make any sense to me, but that's what they told me. So, so we're gonna go ahead and change that. So I just want to show you that when this is on like a locked layer, it's different than actually locking the viewport, right? So when I lock the viewport down here in the bottom next to the scale, and I go and I zoom and I try to pan around when inside of it, it doesn't pan around, right? But I could still move my viewport from the outside. So that was the problem that Christian and I were having, was I thought the viewport was locked. Then I realized it was on a layer that was locked. So just again, not to harp on you again, but Rosemary had the same problem last time. So it's kind of a good review to go over it just in case. Because like I said, if you have problems, he has problems, then someone else is going to have the same problem. And they're going to be like, I can't print. And then all of a sudden they'll be like, okay, that's easy. I can print it like that, right? Yeah. Cool.
So for us to know if we'll see that little lock in the bottom, right?
But the problem was, when that layer was locked, this was also showing up as being locked.
Yeah.
But I think it's because you had locked the viewport.
Oh.
And then.
And the layer.
Okay.
Because you can still print it.
Well, here, so for instance, I put on 0, right?
Yeah.
And I click on the viewport. And I click this, and nothing happens.
Because it's a viewport.
Well, because my viewport is on the wrong layer. It won't even let you change it. Yeah. But now I could unlock and lock. So you kind of always want to lock your viewport after you set the scale. So, again, what I suggest, when you start a new drawing, insert your title block. First thing, go to your layout, inside your title block. Put your viewport in there, everything. Do all that 100% in the beginning. Before you even draw anything.
Oh.
Right?
Just to have it there.
Yeah, just have it there. And then, or, you could start drawing, and once you kind of get the perimeter done, throw it in your viewport. Because then when you're done drawing, you're not rushing to try to put the title block back on there. You're not going to have a title block, I don't know, mishap where it doesn't show up or something.
Yeah.
So, okay?
Yep, that's a good point.
They're slightly different. So, rather than draw them where each line is represented by a name. So like for instance, a wall is a wall, right, on a layer. The way that I was kind of taught was you do it as different thicknesses, right? So for instance, sorry.
We're offsetting it whenever we put it?
10.
From whatever we put?
Yeah. It's because it's just referencing the other line.
Okay.
Yep.
10 feet?
10 feet, 4, and then another 4. So it should be 10 and 14, just like that. You have 2 lines, so yeah. Okay. What was the roof line overhang? Do you remember? 1 foot. So I'm going to offset these vertical lines a foot, including this one. Okay. Yeah. Then I'm going to start doing some trimming.
Which way did you offset the middle one?
I'm sorry? Oh, to the right. Yeah.
The trim.
Yep. Then I'm going to draw my pitch. So my pitch is going to be in the center.
Wait a minute.
It's fine. I'll slow down.
Okay.
Yeah. And then trim off the walls. And then I'm going to trim off that guy. Right? The one thing you want to do too is kind of create a quote-unquote ground, right? If it's in design development or in concept drawings, which is what your guys' next one is, or what we're doing right now, we're kind of in that phase of concept phase, right? Usually you'll actually like offset, create like an actual box underneath it, per se. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. So I'm gonna offset this horizontal line a foot, okay? And then I'm also going to offset off of my most exterior points 1 foot. And then I will trim this box here so that you can see kind of a box right underneath it. That's a foot in depth, and it's a foot from the most exterior point. Just because I want that quote unquote earth or ground to extend past my drawings, right, or past my drawing, just so that it kind of gives you the thought of it doesn't just end right there, right? It keeps going. And a foot's just easy to remember, so I generally just do a foot. Then we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna hatch that one, and we're gonna hatch it solid.
Is it from the wall or from
A foot from the roof line. So it'd be 2 feet from the wall. Okay?
hatch it?
And hatch it solid. Solid. Okay? Next, what I'm going to do is, because I don't have it drawn down here, I'm just going to kind of fake a door and fake a window. But, you know, if you had a door, we would project it like we did the last time, where you actually project it using the vertical X lines just like we did, right? So for now, I'm just going to simply, I'm just going to offset this one 2 feet, so 24 inches over. Come on. Then I'm going to offset the ground. Let's just go an even 8 foot, so 96. And then I will offset that 40.
So you said the ground or the roof?
I offset the ground 8 foot up.
Oh, 8 foot up.
Yep. So basically, I end up with 40 inches wide by 8 feet high. Okay. Then kind of want to give it a frame just so it looks more like a door. So we're going to offset all of those in 2 inches. And then I'm going to trim it out, so I'm just going to fillet it out like that. Okay? You're fine. Sorry?
The thickness of the wall, of the door, what was it?
40?
40 inches?
Yep. 40 inches.
Yeah.
By 8 feet high. Then just gonna draw on a window, 24 inches over, and then it's gonna be a 48 by 48 inch. Oh, let's make it 60. Yeah, let's make it 60. 60 by 48. Trim that off.
From the door or from the
24 in between the door and the window frame. I'm gonna join that together. Offset 2.
offset 2 for the
Yep.
door 2?
Yep. Then I'm just gonna draw kind of
48 by 48?
by 60. Okay, so my door, my window, then really easy. Just gonna copy them over here. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna set up the layers for this drawing. So typically what I like to do is just type in ELEV in front of it, and then simply gonna hit 1, so elevation 1, then new one, ELEV 2, ELEV-3. Ooh, I messed up there.
I don't have none of those layers.
I'm making them right now.
No, the ones under it.
Because you didn't insert your title block in your drawing. I already did. Right?
So what number are we on to?
5. Okay. So 1 is gonna be the thinnest. So basically, if you think just one is lower, so it's smaller, so your line will be thinner. We're gonna do 0.5, and then I'm gonna do 0.1 or 0.05, sorry, and then 0.13, 0.25, 0.35, and then 0.5 at the end. So just gradually just get bigger. Then I'm gonna change my colors, and I'm just gonna start from red, and just each one's just gonna get slightly move over one basically. Yep. Oh, that one should be printing. Yep. So we should have 5 new layers like that.
So for number 5, what was the line weight?
0.5.
So 05, 13, 25, 35, 5.
Yes. Or 5, 13, 25, 35, 50.
5.
Yeah, I just say you mixed it up there. You said 0.5, then 5 at the end. Okay.
5, 13, 5.
Yep. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna make the ground the thickest line weight possible. So we're gonna make it blue, or elevation 5. So I want to make this triangle thicker, but as you can see, I have a problem right now because this line is just one line. I actually have to divide it into 2. So there's 2 different ways you can do it. The first one is I could trim the middle part out, right? Or remember the command, the break command. So BR, and then I could click and click, and then extend it. So 2 different ways of doing that. So go ahead and do that. Just make it so you have 2 different lines, not one. The other way is you could delete it out and draw 2 new lines too. Or you could trim one off and redraw a line.
One line, right there for the triangle.
Yeah. And then I'm going to make that one elevation 4. And then I'm going to make this one elevation 3. So that this is actually going to print out larger or thicker, a thicker line than this one here. Then the front portion, I want it to be smaller than the roof, but still kind of bold, so it'll be 3, medium, elevation 3. Then my windows here is going to be 2. Then this one will be 2, and then these will be 1. And the scale is kind of important because sometimes if you're printing stuff at too small of a scale, you may have to adjust the layers accordingly.
And elevation 5 will be the last wall, right?
The base,
Oh, the base.
the ground. Okay. If you haven't done so yet, go through and hit page setup and set up everything so that you can actually see everything. So we'll go through modify. Make sure Adobe PDF 11 by 17, monochrome, etc., etc., etc. Okay. And then we're just gonna go ahead and we're gonna do a test print basically. So print. If I hit preview, and that is barely showing up, but there's difference there. That may be off a little bit. I'm gonna have to up them. We'll find out right now. But so if you start to zoom in and stuff, you can start to see that the difference between the layer and line type and line weight thickness
I have a question.
start to show up. What's up?
My doors, they come out red. Well, not the door. The door and the window comes out red.
When you print it,
Yeah. Well, it shows as colored red. Everything
that's the only thing.
Yeah.
What color red did you pick?
the one from the bottom.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's still going on.
Because you changed it in the thing and didn't change it back. Yeah. Remember, if you're having the same problem, so you're going to come over here to the settings in the printer settings, in the color 1, right? Is that the one you picked?
Yeah.
So what does it say over here?
Oh, red.
Yeah. That's why I don't like to change the first 10 or actually 9 colors. I always change, like if I'm going to make red, I'll take color 10 and take it red. Just because the ones that I most often use are the first 5, or these colors down here are the ones I always try to use. So for, like in my office, these colors right here, I'll print the color that they are so that I could have different colors, basically. I think I only have like red, green, orange, blue, like a few different, I don't have 20 different colors, right? But, I just want to show, and I'm thinking that I may need to adjust these just because they're not looking so let me do 3/16 instead of 3/8. And then if we do a print and we preview it, it should be a little bit, yeah, that's better. So you can start to see how this line is thicker than this one, and these ones are even thinner. So when I look at the drawing, the thinner lines are in the background versus the thicker lines in the foreground. So that's basically you draw an elevation. You want to have it so that you actually give some depth. And for this next project, I actually want to go and I'm going to modify the layers a little bit, just because it's not printing quite as well. So we're going to up that one to 60. I want to up that one to 40. We'll make this one 20. And the rest are okay. So go ahead and modify these, because you can use these same exact layers in the next project. So it's 5, 13, 20, 40, 60. So that should work a little better.
How do you organize
Yeah.
the layers? Scrambled.
Meaning
It should automatically be alphabetical.
weights. There is a way to show the line weights actually in your drawing. And it's one of these buttons down here that I never use. Gosh, now I can't even remember what it is. It's because it's not there. Hi. So if you click the 3 lines here. Huh?
Out of paper.
Okay.
I don't pay for I don't eat.
I have no clue what we've done.
I think I was saying it was non-toner earlier too.
Jeez Louise.
No.
So only one printed?
Only one friend.
Alright, here. I'll figure it out right now. Thanks. So, if you click here, you have the 3 lines, right? And then you click the word line weight. Okay? And then right here. Now you can see the line weights are starting to show up.
Wow.
I hate drawing in it because when you zoom way out, look how retarded it looks.
Christmas house.
Yeah. Huh? Yeah, but that's weird. Like it's not even showing. It only showed the one.
Say show annotation objects.
What?
What did you click on? Exactly.
Line weight,
I got line weight.
and then this one. It says LW display.
Yeah, the only one that changes is the.
That's really weird.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just like its settings are probably weird. Line weight settings. Display, line weight, default, set to like 0. No, still not working.
Can you email it to us?
Maybe. There we go. So if you want them to show up, you right click on it, line weight settings, and you could adjust, say this adjust display scale and just hit it to max. Then they'll show up. It looks like a Christmas tree now, like they're glowing or something. Ridiculous. The other reason I don't like it is because look how thick this is in drawing. And you see how it looks like the red's going past? So you're going to try to trim it off, but in reality it's not. So, yeah. I never draw with my line weights on. It just confuses me. Plus, I've been drawing so long, and you guys will get in the habit of knowing what colors and layers and stuff are going to print at a certain line weight. So it becomes second nature when you put it on there. Okay? So, there's quite a bit of cool stuff inside of Express Tools that you may need in the future. Number one, replace block. So if I replace block, and let's say I want to replace this door, and for some reason I want to replace it with a couch. Exactly. Do I want to purge? No. It's just going to replace all those with the couch. So, I mean, obviously that's not the proper use of the tool, but it is a pretty cool tool where, you know, if you like copy in a new block or whatever, and you already have that block in 17 places, you could just simply, like if you have a block, for instance, in an elevation, you have a block that is like a window or a door, and then you want to change that door to have a window on it, or, you know, or in it, and you have a different block for that, then you can simply replace that, right? And instead of paste, you could replace the block. So it's actually a fairly new tool that I did not know existed. So it's cool. So that's here in Express Tools. Okay. And it's replace block. The other kind of cool one I think is, I think there was a couple people that asked. So if I have text like this and I explode it and it's no longer multi-line text, convert to M text, and if I select it all, it puts it all back into one text. So I don't remember who asked, but I think someone did ask me about that. So it's kind of cool. The other thing is, I know you can actually explode text to the point. Why doesn't it have it here? It should have it here. Enclose, in object, auto number, convert, modify text. No. I want to explode text. You won't need to do it for here, but where the hell? You think it'd be under text? Unmask. Yeah. No, I guess not. It's in here somewhere.
Explode right there.
Derp. Yeah. So you could actually turn it into a series of lines. You want to do it for here? It's something that I do have to do in the office quite a bit, because when we CNC cut out letters and numbers and stuff for some of the projects. So there are kind of a cool bunch of different things. A break line. Come on. Yeah, I'm breaking. Second point. Wow. Why don't you hit the break line? First point, second point. Really? Specify second point. I am. Oh, it wants me to make it that big. Jesus. Why is it so big? Size? 12. Do 1. So there's some kind of cool tools. You have to do break lines for details. So we will cover that a little bit more. But in here, there's quite a bit of tools. Those are just a couple that I noticed when I was going through.